Welcome to Consent by Yumi Stynes and Dr. Melissa Kang. Hi, I'm Jen Elledge. I'm a sexual health expert here to help you talk to your kids about sex and growing up. Here with another book review, and this is a fantastic one that is very specific on consent, and it gets into all of the little nuances and tricky aspects of it. So this is definitely a great book for I'd say junior high school. It would be a really good time for this book. Okay, so let me jump in and show you a little bit about it. Okay, so is there a table of contents? There it is. Here's the table of contents. So here's the first part and the second part. So let me just read a couple of these, some of the things that they're talking about here. So it talks really basically about consent, and it uses a great analogy of borrowing a t-shirt to kind of start the conversation. And then as it gets more into consent, then it gets into sexual consent and a little more of the, more adult things around consent. But I love the way that this book looks. It's got great little pictures in here. The illustrations are colorful and inclusive, and there's quite a bit here. Okay, so let's see here. The golden rules of consent. What your power. It talks about power. Okay, that's a big thing that it talks about, and how people try to get power, or where that comes into play with consent. And it talks about society and culture, talks about that it can be confusing. Sometimes it gets into enthusiastic consent and how that's really important right here. And it also talks about observing your partner and looking for cues, right, of how they're feeling. If they, it says ask, listen, and observe. So I love that it touches on body language as well, and the importance of trying to read that and noticing when somebody, kind of shies away, or maybe looks another direction, or doesn't reciprocate whatever's being done. Those sort of hesitations are signs that someone's not comfortable. And I love that it talks about that. Okay, what does yes look like? And it's very specific. It gives you examples. It's like, this is awesome. I like it. Let's do this. Would you please? So it gives examples of what enthusiastic consent is supposed to sound like. It talks about that it's supposed to be a mutual yes. What does it not look like? Okay, so it gets into some examples of that. Why it's hard to say no sometimes. Oh, I love this section. And it just talks about there's a lot of different things that are happening. And it has a lot of great little quotes throughout from teens, and them talking about their stories, or something that happened to them, and when they felt uncomfortable, or how they handled a situation or something like that. What to say if you don't want to do something, what that sounds like. And what if I don't know what I want? What is, am I worried? Am I liking this? Does this make me feel weird? So those are some of the things that it talks about. So I love just how easy to read this was. There's not a ton on the pages. There's lots of illustrations. It is a little bit of a thicker book, but not too bad. It's still a really easy read. It's probably, oh gosh, it says 200 pages, but it's a smaller book. It also touches on sexual assault in the back. So there's, talks about support and protection from that, finding your people, when things don't feel right, what to do, calling out the adults. Let's see. Oh, it also talks about drinking. I forgot about that. So what's a standard drink, and how that affects consent, and that you can't legally consent if you have been drinking. So that's what's really tricky. And I love that it touches on that. And that's an important thing that a lot of young people don't know. So consent challenges, right, when you're drinking. Double dates and setups. I mean, there's a lot. It talks about hookups, respect in the moment, safe words, consent in relationships, timeline of sexual progress, kissing, doctor, even doctor visits, and like what, what consent looks like at the doctor, refusing things, and like bodily autonomy. I mean, there's so many things that it touches on here. And like I said, it's very inclusive. There's, there we go, images of, all kinds of people and abilities, how to talk about privacy, your safety network. I thought I saw something about online. I think it has something on sexting in here too. I just don't see the page right now. Boundaries. When do your boundaries change? And how sometimes you don't know what your boundaries are, right? Like sometimes they get stepped on when you realize like, oh, I don't like this. And that's okay. And, it talks about like, there we go. Knocking, right? There's a little door here, knocking, and, all kinds of stuff. Even puberty is discussed a tiny bit about bodily autonomy and touch. So like, some people like don't want their hair touched, so to like ask permission, and there's just so much stuff to unpack in here. If you're looking for a great, thorough book on consent, I think this is an excellent one. Definitely go pick this up at Amazon or your local library. Again, it's called Welcome to Consent, How to Say No, When to Say Yes, and How to Be the Boss of Your Body by Yumi Stynes and Dr. Melissa Kang. All right, go get your copy today. Jen Elledge here. Thank you for listening, and I'll see you in our next book review. Bye-bye.